Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to share our Black History moment for the day. And I am remembering the African Americans who worked the coal mines in eastern Kentucky. And my father-in-law was a coal miner from West Virginia, so this piece of history is close to home for me. In southeastern Harlan County sits what remains of an old coal mining town at the foot of Kentucky's highest peak, Black Mountain. In the 87th district lies Lynch, Kentucky. And Lynch was a company town in Harlan County that was built and owned by the U.S. Coal and Coke Company in 1917 for coal miners and their families. By the 1940s, coal miners and their families grew the population in Lynch to about 10,000. And today, the mine sits empty and the population is less than 800. Of those nearly 800 neighbors, almost 200 folks, almost a quarter of the town's population, are Black folks. During the Great Migration, recruiters for new coal companies scouted the Deep South to persuade Black sharecroppers who were living in poverty to head north to the hills of Appalachia, where better living conditions and higher salaries were promised. For a while, thousands of Black coal miners were paid at an equal rate to their white counterparts, and their families worked and lived alongside other white and Eastern European immigrant and coal mining families. Within the hills of the coal mines, there was a sense of inclusion, and it was the enforcement of the Jim Crow laws spreading up from the South that resulted in racial segregation in Lynch, Kentucky. Eventually, Black neighbors were forced to separate into their own churches and schools and other parts of life. In the 1960s and 70s, the population in Lynch drastically declined as strip mining reduced the need for labor. Black folks were the first to lose their jobs in the mines, and soon, white workers were also replaced. Eventually, many families packed their belongings and moved to more urban areas where they could again make a living. In 1970, in an abandoned school building, the Eastern Kentucky Social Club opened its doors in Lynch, Kentucky. The club served and continues to serve a community center for Black coal miners and their families to get together and reminisce about growing up in this unique enclave in the United States, and for its members to find a sense of belonging with one another. Frank X. Walker, who is a poet, Kentucky native, and professor at the University of Kentucky, coined the term Affrilachian for folks who live in this area and have little to no recognition in communities like Lynch, Kentucky. I share this moment in Black history on behalf of the Affrilachians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.